This is the Land Rover Defender Octa, the most powerful, fastest, and extreme Land Rover Defender to ever exist. And over the past few days, I've been experiencing this new model in the Western Cape. I've done dune driving, I've done severe rock obstacle climbing, I've done gravel roads, I've done highways, I've done the city. I have done pretty much every type of driving you could possibly want to cover in this vehicle, and it's mostly good. Most of the things I'm going to say in this video are overly positive for this car, and let me just confront the elephant in the room here. This is a first edition Octa and they're all sold. There's around 50 coming to South Africa and they've all been spoken for, but going forward, when there's more allocations of these cars, they will become a little bit more ubiquitous, a bit more available. So that's really what this is all about, this video for Octa and how crazy the car is. Some of the negative points I'll get to when we get to the driving portion of it, but mostly this thing is really good. So what are we dealing with from a platform perspective? Well, it is very much based on your standard Defender 110. So you get the 90, the 110, the 130. This is obviously the medium-sized Defender. And apart from the interior looking quite similar, well, the oily bits are quite a bit different than what you'd get in your run-of-the-mill Defender. You see, under the bonnet is a 467 kilowatt and 750 newton meter, 4.4 liter turbocharged V8. That's sourced from BMW and it's got a ZF 8-speed automatic gearbox. There's also a bespoke suspension system. So it is a hydraulically connected air suspension setup, and the dampers have got a tri-valve system in them. So traditional high-end dampers are normally a dual valve system. This tri-valve system allows them to control the pitch and the roll of the car. What that translates to, especially in the dirt road driving and the high-speed gravel driving we've been doing over the past few days, is, well, the car feels so flat in pretty much every driving condition. Like right there, I just absolutely smashed over an obstacle there. You could just go places in this car that it's hard to believe. So that suspension setup keeps everything flat. So whether you're accelerating, because there's a lot of accelerative G-forces, there's a lot of braking G-forces because of all the power and because it's so high off of the ground, and there's obviously a lot of lateral G-forces because the car handles pretty well considering it's a 2.6 ton SUV. What the suspension does is it keeps everything under control. It keeps it all very sharp. Suspension system is proper. It's bespoke to the Octa. I'm not even going to get into why it's called the Octa. It's got something to do with a diamond and the face of a diamond. I think it's a little bit silly, but anyway, just think of it as a really fast, really limited production Defender. Now, after the first edition, there will be regular models available, as I mentioned earlier, but don't expect to see a hell of a lot of these on the road at 3.5 million rand sans options. Now, there are a few different options that you can tick on the car. Now, the most important one I'd like to discuss first is tires. So on this car is a set of Goodyear all-terrains. You get two sets of Goodyears. One of them isn't available in the South African market. It's got a slightly higher speed rating. The ones on this car have got a slightly lower speed rating, around 160 k's an hour. Then you can get a slightly more road biased all-terrain tire, which is from BF Goodrich. The benefit of the aforementioned Goodyears is that they are 3-ply tires. To put it into perspective, we've been doing pretty much the most savage off-roading you could possibly imagine. I'm talking hitting rocks at high speed, going up really steep, sharp rock faces, driving over these corrugated roads, hitting rocks and bumps, and just generally abusing the tires. These 3-ply tires, our entire convoy that has included 6 Octas hasn't had a single puncture in the 3 days we've been driving, which is quite incredible. But back to the tires, you obviously get the aforementioned Goodyears with 3-ply sidewalls. You get the option of the BF Goodrichs, which are slightly more road biased, but they're still an all-terrain tire. And then if you want something Both of those tires are 20-inch, by the way. If you want the larger 22-inch wheels that are more aesthetically pleasing and indeed have a higher top speed rating, you get the option of Michelin Premises, which are probably the tire that most people are going to opt for, because to be honest, what we've done here this week is really overkill. I don't envision the average 3.5 million rand Octa owner really venturing out and doing what we've done to these cars. It's really borderline abuse. So what is it like to drive? Well, on the road, you obviously have to have a look at the tires and take into consideration that the all-terrains are not quite as good on the road, but the obvious payoff is when we climbed rocks and went on gravel roads later in the day, they really came into their own. So the road refinements I can excuse because of the tires, and I know that there is another option in terms of tires for the car. Performance, well, it is bonkers. The car is 2.6 tons, but that BMW derived engine and that ZF 8-speed gearbox, they just work so beautifully well together. Power delivery is immense. Look, it doesn't feel like Lamborghini Urus fast or even Audi RSQ8 fast, Porsche Cayenne Turbo GT fast. It doesn't feel that savagely fast, but considering it can do that speed over so many different terrains out of the box, it is just astonishing. I think most people will find the performance to be more than adequate, though you do feel the size of the car. Another thing I'd like to mention, it's a bunch of chipped carbon, I think they call it, and it's like a carbon fiber-like material that it features on the badges, it's here on the seats, and it features on various parts of the car, and it's really cool. It's like an uneven, but obviously a smooth, textured carbon, but it's got this uneven sort of granular look to it, and I really like it. It really suits the car very well, as does the two matte paint finishes. This particular one that we are in here is a green of sorts, but it's not really green. It's like a gray. Sometimes it looks green, but I'll let you decide in the comment section if you like the color or not. In terms of the negatives I had to bring up from earlier, well, on the first day of our drive, we were doing some relatively high-speed driving on gravel roads, and this car's got what's called Octa mode. So on the steering wheel, underneath the section here where that houses the badge and the airbag, you've got a button that's got the Octa logo on it. You hold that in for 1.5 seconds and you can go into what's called Octa mode, which is like an optimized mode for off-road driving. Think of it like Baja mode in the Ford Ranger Raptor. And we were in this mode and I got 2 warning messages on the dashboard. Now, they appeared sporadically and the car just carried on running. The first one said engine overheating, please proceed with caution. The second one said suspension fault, please contact your nearest dealership. Now, when I turned the car off and back on again when we stopped, those errors didn't come back, and it's been 2 days and I've been in the same car and they haven't returned. So I don't really know what that was, but I'm just being completely transparent. That's what appeared during our drive. Other than that, I haven't really had any issues with the car. I couldn't tell you if there are any rattles or squeaks. The cars are filled with our luggage. We are nomads. We've been going everywhere with our luggage, and there's been cans of cold drink and all types of things in the car. So if I have picked up a rattle, it might just be something that we have here in the car that is a loose item. But for the most part, I feel like the car is built very nicely and it feels super premium every area that you interact with, as you'd expect for something that costs as much as this does. So there's several driving modes in the Octa, and I mentioned the Octa mode earlier. What comes as a part of this is off-road launch control. So let's see how this works. This car is nuts. Absolutely nuts. Okay, before I get into the most trouble in the world, let me just turn around and carry on. So it launches the car in second gear, and that was quite astonishing. You see, it really opens up that it really opens up that motor. And well, what I can tell you is that the Land Rover guys haven't just taken the motor from BMW and plonked it into the car. They have done their own work on it. They've rearranged the sump and changed some of the belts and things of that nature to allow for more intense off-roading activity. So there at least has been some developments in that regard. But this BMW engine is an absolute peach. Let's see if we can hear it properly. Let's pop it into sport. Oh, I wish you guys could see what I'm seeing right now. The way this car goes through gravel roads is absolutely unbelievable. Honestly, if you want an off-road toy, this is about as good as it gets from a production car perspective, because it has so much power, it has so much capability. I have so much confidence in this car. I feel like a flippin' Dakar driver in this thing, and I don't want to give it back really. I just want to keep driving it. Oh, what a thing. If you guys would like to hear more technical details about the car, there will be a write-up on the AutoTrader website, so please check that out. I'll geek out a little bit more on the technology on the car, and you'll be able to find out a bit more information. This was a very quick driving impression from the launch. We have had an absolutely jam-packed schedule, so it was about as quick a driving impression as I could get between everything, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. And that's going to do it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the AutoTrader YouTube channel. It really helps us out so much. And if you are looking to buy or sell a car, search AutoTrader. Until next time, cheers.